Hi, I'm John. This is my show, An American Scheme, where I'm proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother. So, this is that painting Michael Jackson had commissioned that's titled The King of Pop, okay? And this is Jackie Jackson with the artist of the painting, and he's talking about the painting, he's talking about some of the things. So right here he's going to talk about the guitar string, the broken guitar string that Tito broke, Joseph's guitar string story, that story, okay? So we're going to get to that in a second, but I'm going to show you this other part because there's a big thing of what I say that story's wrong. And when you actually analyze that story, you can see that the story does not sound right. And if that story doesn't sound right, then you start, when you understand, like especially my story, then when you analyze it and you understand, well, why are they saying it that way? And it's like, well, what are they covering up? What was actually really going on? So that's what we're going to get into here, because a big part of my story says that the first initial, like one of the first documented facts about the creation of the Jackson 5, which is the broken guitar string, I say that's wrong. And when you prove that that's wrong, it just shows, like with everything, that's wrong. The very first story they told you is wrong, so why are you going to believe anything that they're telling you? And then when you see my story, how it aligns, then you see, oh, well, now we know why they had to cover that up. So my story explains everything. So what I'm going to show you here is what I say is that Tito never would have played that guitar. I say, first of all, the story's wrong, because in that small house, with that guitar being Joseph, being a violent type of father, and in that house, there's only one thing that he owns. Like, look at, okay, Joseph's got a car, right? Okay, but all the kids have to get into the car. He has to take the car to work. He has to come home. All the kids are in the car doing all the stuff. The wife has to take the car out to, it's not really his car. So he has a job and he has money. Okay, but when he gets his check, he gives it to his wife. That's not even his money's not his money. It all goes to the kids. Everything about what he has now in his life is gone. He doesn't have anything for himself. Okay, and he's got this little house. He's got a house, but there's freaking 9 kids running around, every kids at that time and stuff, whatever. So, but you got a house full of kids, right? Kids everywhere. They're eating up all the food. He can't sit down and watch his TV in private because kids making all the noise. He can't do anything. What I'm trying to stress to you is that Joseph Jackson doesn't really have anything of his own, except he's got a family. He's got a family, and that's what he's saying. Well, I'm giving everything up for my family. Okay, but in that house, there's one thing, the guitar, that takes him back to, like, his youth. It connects him to, like, having all of the opportunities and all the dreams, making it big, everything. All the friends that he met. Everything, like that guitar. And remember, that guitar has some value to it too. It's not just something that's like worth $1, and if you mess it up, it actually has value to it. Okay, it's everything connected to Joe Jackson. So, and they always say that they were ordered not to touch the guitar. And like, think about the reality. That's why I try and stress. Think about what that guitar would have meant to Joseph Jackson. It would have been like everything. That guitar would have been the one thing that was his. That not only does it have value, and it's his personal, private thing, but you don't touch that thing. That's his. It's his guitar. It's the only thing in that house where he would have been like super, like nobody touches this, because this is something I need. I go out and play with my friend. I mean, it means stuff. It's just so big. So now I'm going to show you in relation to what kind of in that environment. I'm going to show you something else related to that. Now, this is the movie American Beauty. And it's ironic, I'm going to show you in this little part. The people don't know, the very first word spoken out of my mouth on my page here is, I will sell this house today. That's the very first words I spoke in my very first videos. And that line is a quote from this movie, American Beauty. If you people don't know that, that's where it's from. So I just told you to let you know that if you don't know it. So this movie, I think this is a really good movie. So now this clip I'm going to show you here, it's going to be speaking in Spanish because this is the only one I could find, but it's not really important what they're saying. It's what they're doing. And what he's doing here is he's going to show his girlfriend, his father has a collection of things, right? And so he's going to go, he's a drug dealer in this movie. He had a friend that makes locks or whatever, keys, and he had a friend make a key for him for a drug deal. They did a transition. So he ended up with the key to his father's locked private collection stuff, right? And he goes in there and shows his daughter, his girlfriend, a piece from in that collection. But now this is what I'm trying to show you, is that this is what like kids and stuff, a lot of people don't know. Okay, when you're an adult and stuff, okay, when you have your collection, you know exactly where it's placed. And I mean, like, so this plate that he's got in here, right? That plate, you couldn't possibly remove the plate off of the stand and put it back without the father knowing that it was touched. Because what happens when you're an adult, you know exactly where it's at. I mean, you know exactly the position, and when you would come in, I mean, if it was off like a millimeter, you would instantly know that's off. It's off because you see it all the time and you know exactly, and this is how you protect your stuff, is you know the exact position of it, and if it was moved, you know it. This is things that adults do in the world. They do stuff like that. They know. I know exactly where that is placed. And if you moved it just a hair, I will know when I come into my house, I'll say that was moved. That means somebody was in here. I know. I don't need a camera. This is one of the things about like Matt's FTR is always demanding that I get DNA evidence. And it's like, dude, I don't need DNA evidence. I've got evidence and I've got a brain that works. I can do this stuff without. Same thing like here. The father here in this scene here, he doesn't need a camera. It's the same kind of thing. You would say, oh, well, you need a camera to spot the... I don't need a camera. You people are dumb. I know exactly the position of that plate. And if anybody in the world ever moved that plate, I would know. And the only place, there would be like, okay, so the only reason would be like an earthquake. So if there wasn't an earthquake, then there's no logical reason for that plate to have been moved whatsoever. And if it's moved, like in this situation, the father would know. The mother, she's, timid, and she follows orders. So there's no possible way that the mother ever would go in there, okay? So the father knows the only person that's in the house that would have access and maybe think that they can get in there and not having the father know because they're stupid young kids and they don't know that the father understands the positioning of the plate in such a way that nobody in the world could touch that without him knowing it. That's what I'm trying to stress to you. That kind of stuff it's cherished by people, that their belongings, they know exactly where it's at. And like I'm saying, Matt's FDR wants me to have DNA. I don't need DNA. Like he would say, oh, you need to have a camera. You need to have a camera. If you don't have a camera, then you don't have evidence. You don't really know that he went into the room. And it's like, dude, the plate was in a position. I came home and it was moved. He's the only one in the house. So that's all there is to it. So you're telling me that somebody snuck into my house, came in here and moved the plate and didn't steal anything, because that's what you would be saying. So what kind of scenario would fit another? There is no other scenario. The father knew that the kid fucking got in there. And he knew it because they don't have to have a camera. This is what I'm trying to say. I don't need DNA evidence. There's other stuff that you people are just not even aware of.
Mi padre me mataría si supiera que he estado aquí.
Like I said, it's in Spanish. Okay, so see where the stuff is in there? If you moved anything, people don't know that the people that have their private possessions in there, you can't move it. You can't, once you've moved, see right here, once he moved it, it's impossible for him to place it back in the exact position. Now then there's fingerprints. So then first you would see that the plate was moved. And then if you want further evidence, you would analyze it and you would see that there's fingerprints on it. Then you would know that somebody touched it, and then the father would know. He would know. See, the people like that, you don't know that they've got traps set up that you're not aware of. They've got that. That's a controlled environment of which they are in total control of. And there's no way possible that that kid could put that plate back in the exact same spot without the father knowing it. The plate was moved. There's no way. It's impossible. He couldn't get it in the exact spot. The father instantly would know that it's off. That's what I'm saying. When you're talking about people's possessions like that and stuff, you don't know. The people know. They know where it's at. So now, because of that, because the kid did the plate, then the father, knowing that he went in and he knew that the kid, and this is what I'm trying to show you too. This is what happens in the scene. Now, doesn't this relate to what you think would happen in the Jackson's house if somebody freaking gonna break Joseph's guitar string? And so, first of all, what I'm trying to say too is that there's no way possible that Tito could have played that guitar enough to have learned how to play it without Joseph knowing that it was being played with. It's impossible. In that little house, you're going to tell me Joseph didn't check on his guitar? He would have known the guitar had been moved. It would have been moved. You could not have done it. Tito could not have picked up that guitar and played it and put it back into a position without Joseph of knowing it. Joseph didn't need to be in the house. Joseph didn't need to have a video camera. Joseph didn't need to have somebody ratting out Tito to tell him. Joseph would have known just by seeing the guitar was moved that somebody had touched his guitar far, far before Tito ever would have had the opportunity to break the guitar string. And when he found it out, this is what he would have done to Tito, and Tito never would have picked up that guitar, and then the known story of the Jackson stuff never would have happened. It's a lie. The whole thing, it does not make sense.
Ow! Ow! Oh. Come on, get up! Get up! Fight back, you little pussy! No, sir, I won't fight you. Ow! How did you get in there? Take the lock, sir. What were you looking for? Huh? Money? Are you on dope again? No, sir, I wanted to show my girlfriend your Nazi plate. A girlfriend?
Okay, see? How'd you get in there? He didn't know how he got in, because that's what he's saying. The lock is locked. So that's what he's asking. He knows the kid got in there. He knows the kid got in there. So what he's asking and what he wants to know is, because he, like I said, he doesn't have the video camera. So he knows that that kid went into his locked frickin' case. He knew he went in there, but the case was locked and stuff. So he knew that the lock had been tampered with. It was so he went in there and started beating him up. Now, isn't that exactly what Joseph Jackson would do? Wouldn't he walk into the house? Who bent my guitar? Somebody's been playing with my guitar. This is far, far before, because you got to remember, Tito, the story of Tito playing the guitar is that he's been playing it for a while and he's learning how to play it. Okay, it takes time and effort to learn how to play a guitar. And so now here's the thing. Now, let's put it in. So now what I say is that Tito never could have been picking up that guitar in that house to the point of where he played with it enough where he actually was learning how to play it. I say that that's impossible. That scenario of that story, it's impossible to happen. It could not have possibly. It's not fucking possible on any way. There's no fucking way. So that story's a lie right there, right off of the bat. So now, but I'll come up with other stories. Now let's say Tito was in the neighborhood and he had a friend that had a guitar and the friend was showing him how to play the guitar. Okay, and now then he comes and he wants to play his guitar, dad's guitar, to learn a little bit more. Okay, I can see, like, I'll make up a story of what's possible here, right? But now, if Tito was out learning how to play the guitar on a friend's thing, right? And then he has the desire to want to learn more, and he knows his dad has guitar. The first thing of what Tito would have done, he would not have been secretly trying to play the guitar. He would have told his dad, Dad, I've been learning how to play the guitar with my friend down the street. Can you get your guitar out and let me show you that I've been learning how to play? This is how it would have developed. That's how it would have developed. That's how the real world works, okay? But the story that the Jacksons keep pounding in our head is that Tito is secretly playing the guitar. So none of them are saying anything about that. Oh no, well, Tito was learned how to play from a friend. And then that's when he started playing Joseph's. Okay, but now, if Tito, think about reality. If Tito had been learning how to play the guitar, would he secretly be playing his father's guitar? Or would he proudly be wanting to tell his father, Father, look at me, look at what I've done, look at this connection, now I want to play your guitar. He would be announcing, he'd be proclaiming to the dad, Dad, look at me, look at what I've done. That's what kids are always doing. Look at me, look at me, look at what I can do. That's what kids do. So there's no possible way Tito was out at a friend's house learning how to play the guitar up until the point where he was actually starting to learn how to play the guitar. There's no possible way Tito could have done that and not come back into the house telling his father, hey, I can play the guitar. Let me play your guitar. Because that would have been the story. If they would have come out and been telling the story like that, I would have said that is believable. It totally fits in line with the story of what they're telling. It fits in line that he couldn't play his dad's guitar, that Joseph's not not training him, that he just did it on his own. And then when he learned how to do it, then he told his father. Then that's how he starts learning how to play the guitar. So then Joe starts training him and sees that he can play. Now Joe then gets the vision of building the band. That works. But that's not the story they're telling. That is not the story they're telling. They're telling a totally different story. Let's let Jackie tell us the actual story. This is what they say.
I thought important issues with the guitar, that the airline guitar, that my father was his guitar, and that Tito would play that guitar all the time. And
all the time.
When he would go to work, Tito would sneak the guitar at the closet and play it. And
sneak it out of the closet. All the time.
On the guitar and Tito broke the string and thought he was going to get in trouble. So my father went in the closet and picked up the guitar and saw that the string was broken. Who broke my guitar? Who broke the string? And we all pointed to Tito. And Tito said, well, Pops, I can play it. You know, he started playing the guitar. And my father said, well, he can play this guitar. Let me go buy some instruments. That's how it all started. You can see the Volkswagen bus here.
Okay, that's how it all started. Did you just hear what he said? That's how it all started. So what I'm trying to show you here is that I debunked that story. So I debunked the story that is the story that tells you about how it all started. It's debunked. It's not possible. Tito is secretly playing Joseph's guitar. So first of all, like I explained to you, there's no possible way that Tito could have brought that guitar out of the closet and returned it to the closet without the guitar string being broken. That's irrelevant. There's no possible way, like he said, he would take it out all of the time. All the time. As soon as, okay, so let's assume that Catherine is working too. It's because I know at times she did have a job. So it would have to be a time where they're home alone. Okay? And so Jackie, you're going to tell me Jackie like is going to allow Tito, like when, this is the other thing too, the brothers would have known, they would have got beat for that too. They could have got their ass beat because if Joseph would have come and seen the guitar, he just would have started beating everybody. I'll fucking kill all you. I brought you into this world, I'll fucking take you out. That's the kind of fucking mentality of a Joe Jackson. So Jackie, he's not thinking, oh, well, Tito's playing the guitar. He's going to be the one to be in trouble. In the reality of a situation like that, Jackie would know, dude, if you get busted for that, Tito, that's the kind of trouble you're going to get all of us beat. So they would have told Tito, stop that. Put it back. They would have never, like, oh, Tito, he's playing it all the time. It's not possible. There's no way possible that Joseph would have not have been aware that his guitar had been moved and been played with because the tuning, the sound, if you start playing with the guitar and then it's out of tune just a little bit, you know, and then you start really watching, it's impossible. And then the other thing about breaking a guitar strings just don't break. They don't just break easy. They're not simple. You got to be like playing it and hitting, picking that stuff. And it's not that you don't know what you're doing. You see, when you're a guitar, it's not that you don't know what you're doing and you break a guitar string. It's that you really, really know what you're doing and you're pushing it to the limits. That's how you really break guitar strings. See, that story's wrong. They're making you think that, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's an amateur. Oh, yeah, he broke the string. That's not how it works. The people that break guitar strings, it's because they really know what they're doing and they're pushing that guitar to the limits. Now, would Tito be pushing that guitar to the limits at that age? That just doesn't make sense to me either. That he would actually play it and break a string? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And then, like I said, that's the whole fact of the matter. The fact is that if he, like they're saying that he could play it and break a string and then Joseph is going to have to know about it. Would those kids in that household, when Joseph specifically saying, you're not allowed to play this guitar. Joseph is not training the children. The story of the situation is, this is my guitar. You stupid kids who got no fucking talent, you total loser kids, don't touch my fucking guitar, because Joseph's not training his kids, not doing anything. But now, take it in the context of what my story says. My story says that at the time that Michael is given to the Jacksons from Berry Gordy, at that time, Joseph takes some kind of leave. It says in the movie that he got laid off. So, but what happens in like those union jobs and steel mills and stuff like that, people like that, they get temporary layoffs because they have jobs. They have jobs that have like a period of time of where they're going to do this job. Like they're going to be working on this job for 2 months, okay? They've got a deal. They've got to produce this amount of steel. They're not just out there making steel. They get orders. This is how a lot of the jobs like that they work. They get an order for this amount of steel. They have their workers, their union guys, they come in and do the job. But at the end of the job, if they don't have another job ready for them, then they take a leave of absence. That's like a common thing in that kind of work environment and stuff, right? So I know that Joseph has some kind of work stoppage at the time of when Michael comes into the house. I don't, to get the details, was he, they said he was laid off. What was it, a work stoppage, or did he himself personally leave because he wanted to now go into trying to be a musician? So what they say in the movie is that Joseph got laid off at his job, and then he's looking for an alternative way to make money. So Joseph, this is when Michael is coming into the house. So Joseph now tries to reform his band, the Falcons, picks up his guitar in the movie, and they've got him out there playing some gigs and stuff. They've got Joseph out there working the scene. Okay, so at the time that Michael comes into the house, Joseph then instantly, right at that time, because what I say is that's the time that he now has this connection to Berry Gordy. So now, in the real world, at the time that Michael comes into the house, Joseph is not training his children to be musicians. There is nothing there. But now, at that exact time in history, if Michael is given to the Jacksons, that means Joe has this connection to Berry Gordy, and when you match it up to that exact time in history to see what actually played out in the Jackson family, what you find out is that Joe stopped working at the steel mill at that time, and Joe reforms his music group, the Falcons, and is out there trying to hustle up. He's trying to make it. So at that exact time in history, it's documented that Joe is trying to make it as a musician, right at the time that Michael is given to him. Now, when Michael is given to Joe, is Joe thinking about building the Jackson 5 and stuff, or is he thinking about himself? Think about reality. What would Joe do? At that time, now he's got this connection to Berry Gordy. Joe now is thinking, oh, this is my chance. This is my opportunity. And Joseph reforms his band. But he doesn't make it, and he's trying to do it. But at that point, like I said, Berry Gordy's not just giving out record contracts, right? Berry Gordy probably was telling him, you're too old. There's probably some shit like that where he's like, Joe, no, you're too old. You're past what we're doing. What we're doing is a younger, hipper thing. I think that's probably how the discussion would have came about, right? Then that's when Joe says, he comes back to his family, right? Now, he's been shut out. Joe's been shut out. His dreams are over. Because think about the reality of what they say when Tito starts playing. Michael's probably like around 3 years old, right? When Tito. So you're talking about a few years after Joseph has been trying to make it, has not made it, and he's given up, where Berry Gordy has just shut him down. You're not getting a contract. So Joe now is like, it's not me. I'm not doing it. So what would Joe do at that time? He's given up on his own thing, but he's still got this connection to Berry Gordy. Michael's still too young to have been singing yet. He doesn't know that Michael has the talent. There's still nothing there with Michael. He's not looking at Michael. So in reality, at that time, Joseph would ask one of his kids, hey, do any of you guys want to, because he's not training Jackie, so it's not, see, in Jackie, he had never been training Jackie. Think about Jackie in the band. Jackie doesn't play an instrument. Think about the reality. If Joseph was a father who was wanting to train one of his children to teach him how to play guitar because that's a skill and he wants to pass this skill on, well, then he would have had shown Jackie would have learned how to play the guitar before. Okay, but that never happened. It wasn't that Joseph was training his children. That's not the story of what they tell you. They tell you that Tito's doing it on his own. Okay, so does that make sense? No, it does not. If Joseph had some kind of interest if he ever had interest in training his children, at some point he already would have been playing guitars, but the thing was, he didn't want his kids to touch his guitar. That's Joe, like I keep stressing to you. That was his guitar. It would have been locked in a way away from the kids, and he was not even going to let those kids touch that guitar, to the point that he had no interest of even trying to train his children because he didn't want his stupid fucking kids' fingers on his guitar. It was not going to happen. That's how serious it was. He wasn't training Jackie. Jackie don't know how to play guitar. Jackie don't fucking play any instruments. He just up there. Okay, but so I think at that point, Joseph comes in and says, hey, I want to start building a group in this band. Any of you, who are you? I want to start teaching one of you how to play the guitar. Jackie's too old already. He's past it. Okay, but Tito's the one that showed the interest, wanting to have a connection with his father. He said, I'd like to play the guitar. I'd like to learn. Okay, so Joseph then starts to train Tito. That's how Tito actually learns how to play the guitar, because he's being trained by his father. He don't just pick up the guitar and learn and play. That's not how. The reality of the situation is Joseph finally says, hey, I'm going to start to show you. This is how he actually starts to learn to play the guitar. So that's how the band actually starts to get developed. Joseph now has the focus onto his kids. Okay, but as being like a stage father, he doesn't have one of the girls singing. He's got older girls. The girls could have been a singer. He could have been starting to build a band with the girls as a lead singer, because that's what he would have been doing. He would have been using every resource of which he has. He's got some young girls who are good looking. And if Berry Gordy's just telling him, we're going for a younger look, we're going for a younger thing, and you've got like the Supremes are coming out of Motown at that time. Okay, so you're going to tell me Joseph was not able to recognize that maybe his girls, that could be a path? So that's what I'm saying. Joseph, if he was interested in actually building like a group, he would have seen that the girls had there's opportunities there for the girls at that time. But that's not what he does. He's not interested in the girls because he's not what's known as like a stage father who's actually raising his children thinking they've all got talent. That's not what he's doing. He's doing what he knows. So he knows how to play guitar. And so he's like, well, I can only do so much at a time. So he starts off with Tito, starting off slow. Joseph doesn't know what he's doing. He's just trying to figure it all out. So he starts off with Tito. He's starting to get him to play the guitar. At some point there, Jermaine starts learning how to play the bass. He's got something going now. And they're actually starting to learn enough where they can make music. And then right after they get them to that point where they just start learning to actually play, Michael then voice gets exposed and they see, whoa, this kid can sing. Now, at that young age, that's what I'm saying. So then Joseph, as soon as the kids got talent, Joseph instantly knows now what he's going to do. That's the kid given to me from Berry Gordy. So then that's probably when he realized too that, this kid's probably got parents that are singers. He probably realizes, that's why I've got the kid. This is the kid of probably some singer that Berry Gordy's working. He probably realizes this kid's got talent. He probably came from parents who probably got talent. And he was given to me from Berry Gordy. So now Joseph realizes this kid with the talent who was given to me from Berry Gordy, this kid I can take and we'll go. That's when Joseph realizes, okay, it wasn't that, like, think about the reality. You're going to tell me Joseph had this great vision when he never had been training his children. None of the girls are in the group. None of it's happening. And then Tito breaks a guitar string and plays the guitar a little bit, and that creates a great vision, like Jackie just said. Then he went and bought all of us in. So you're going to tell me that spawned a vision. That moment in history would have spawned that kind of vision in Joseph Jackson? Or would it be that when Michael started to sing, that Joseph now realizes this is the kid that was given to me, and I can work this kid's talent and build a band around with my family, but this kid can't be denied because Berry Gordy's not going to be able to turn this kid down so easy. And if he does, then Joseph Jackson now can go working it on his own ways, and he knows he's got leverage over Berry Gordy in a way that Berry Gordy's not going to allow to happen, which is what he did. He strong-armed him by signing that Steeltown contract, which is that's what happened. It's like Joseph Jackson's saying, like, Berry Gordy, you turned me down, right? So Joe knows already. Berry Gordy will turn you down just like that. So when it came time where Joe said, hey, I need you to look at our group, this Jackson 5, and then they were turned down again. So then Joe said, screw that. I'm gonna go get my own contract, because he knew now this is real. This kid's got talent. What we're doing here is real. He gets the Steeltown contract. Within 6 months after that, they have signed a record deal to Motown, and they've breached their contract at Steeltown. When the Jacksons go to Motown, they couldn't actually sign the original contract at that time because they still had 6 months to wait until their contract ended with Steeltown. So that's what the Jacksons did. So the Jacksons, they got no loyalty to Steeltown. They just instantly dogged them out and left them and screwed them to go to Motown, you know, when Motown hadn't been showing them any love. And then Joe just says, oh, screw Steeltown, we're not going to do anything. They made a record for us and we're just going to ditch you halfway through our contract. They only had a 1-year contract. Joe couldn't even fulfill that obligation. Hell no, because he has one mission, going to Motown. And at that time, Berry Gordy's not going to allow him to stay at Steeltown too. At that time, he's like, no, you guys are coming under our wing. You're going to do what we say now, under our control. And that's how it all plays out when the Jacksons get to Motown. And then everything plays out, and that's where Michael reintroduced to Diana. Diana tells him the truth. Everything plays out. My story works perfectly. It explains everything. Their story is wrong. And just like Jackie told you, this is where it all started. And if that story is wrong, then the whole story's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It doesn't make sense. It's not real. If their story was real, it would hold up to the interrogation. It doesn't hold up. It doesn't hold up. Once you interrogate their story, it breaks down bad. It does not make sense. There's no logic based around that story, and I don't need DNA evidence. I don't need a video camera showing, because I'm an adult in the real world who understands how things really work, and I'll come beat your ass knowing the truth. I don't need to know. I don't need to see you break into my house and steal my shit. I know when I come in and my shit was stolen, I know who fucking did it. There's ways like that in the real world, and that's how it goes. This is bullshit. I just destroyed their fucking story. It's trash. And you fucking stupid Michael Jackson fans don't care that Joseph Jackson used and abused Michael. Michael had to be raised in an environment where he became a giant star, and he had to live his whole entire life as a lie that he's a Jackson, and he's not a Jackson. He had to live his life with this lie. He expressed all his fucking pains and heartache in his fucking music to the point where he couldn't give any more, and ended up dead as a junkie at 50 years old. Fans don't seem to care.